It started on my TV, but now I can hear it in my house. I don't know how to start this. I feel like if I type the words, it makes it more real, and I honestly don't know how much more real I can handle. I haven't slept in 2 days. Every time I close my eyes, I see it. I feel hunted in my own house, and the thing that's hunting me lives inside my television. I'm writing this all down because trying to explain it out loud makes me sound insane. Maybe I am, but I have to get it out. The other night, it was waiting for me. The moment I turned on the TV, there was no gentle hiss of static, no channel surfing. It just snapped on. A single, sharp crackle, and then the image was there, solid and unwavering. The church. The preacher at his pulpit. And my Nana Zofia, sitting in the front pew, her hands clasped so tightly in her lap, her knuckles were white. My stomach twisted into a knot. I just wanted to watch some dumb sitcom, and instead I was staring at a broadcast of my dead grandmother. The lights in my living room started to pulse. A long, slow fade, then a short, sharp one, over and over, perfectly in time with the wavering picture on the screen. Something was wrong with the shadows behind the pews. They weren't still. One of them began to stretch, to pull itself upright. It was tall, impossibly so, its form bent and buckled as if it were too big for the world it was in. Its skin was the color of a deep bruise, shimmering like an oil slick on dark water. And its eyes, God, its eyes were two black holes, spiraling inward, drinking the grainy light of the broadcast. Its arms were too long, the fingers like twisted roots dragging on the floor, making no sound. It unfolded itself and stepped behind my grandmother. It didn't make a sound, but I could feel the weight of it. It leaned down, its head hovering just over her shoulder. Nana Zofia's head tilted back, not gently, but with a sickening puppet-like jerk. Her jaw fell open. No scream came out. Only a low, wet static that bubbled from her throat and hissed to the TV speakers. And then the thing smiled at me. Not at the preacher, not at my grandmother. It looked right through the screen, right into my fucking living room, and smiled at me. Its mouth just opened, and it kept opening. The lips peeled back from its gums, then the gums peeled back from the jaw, revealing not one row of teeth, but hundreds, thousands of tiny needle-sharp points packed into a gaping maw that quivered with something that looked like pleasure. The lights in my house flickered wildly now, a frantic strobe, and for a split second I heard a sound that wasn't from the TV. It was a low, chittering click, and it came from the dark corner of the room right behind my armchair. When the screen finally went black, I couldn't move. I just sat there, shaking, my own breath sounding like a stranger's in my ears. Then I fumbled for my phone. Proof. I needed proof. I wasn't crazy. I hit record, my thumb slick with sweat, pointing it at the blank screen, just praying it would come back on. And it did. The whole scene, right there again. The creature, the smile, Nana Zofia's silent scream of static. I recorded for a full minute, my heart hammering against my ribs. I stopped the recording, my hand trembling so hard I almost dropped the phone. I opened my gallery to play it back. It wasn't there. There was no church. No monster. The video file opened to a black and white infomercial for a blender. A woman with a plastic smile held it up to a cheering, silent audience. The audio was just me, my own ragged, panicked gasps playing over the top. I tried again, recorded the broadcast for another 30 seconds. This time, the playback was a test pattern. The one with the color bars and the single, high-pitched tone. But the tone wasn't steady. It sounded like a human scream, stretched and digitized until it was just a piercing shriek. My phone told me the clip was 4 seconds long. I stared at it, the shriek still ringing in my ears. It was erasing itself. It was showing me something else, making me look like a fool to my own camera. I barely made it through the next day. I unplugged the TV, but that felt worse. The blank screen was like a closed eye, and I was terrified of what it might be watching from the other side. Every shadow in the house seemed to stretch when I wasn't looking. The hum of the refrigerator sounded like a low prayer. I knew I shouldn't. I knew it was the stupidest goddamn thing I could do. But as night fell, I walked back into the living room and plugged the TV back in. I had to see it. I felt like if I didn't watch it, it would just find another way to watch me. The static crackled, and the pulpit swam into view. The preacher was there, his fist slamming down on the wood, his mouth forming words I couldn't hear over the blood rushing in my ears. He was screaming about judgment and sin. But the thing wasn't behind my grandmother this time. It was behind him. It was wrapped around him like a shroud, its emaciated body twisted at angles that broke all laws of anatomy. Its spine was a ridge of sharp, black spurs that poked through its oily skin. Its long, spider-like fingers were dug deep into the preacher's shoulders, the cloth of his suit jacket tearing under the pressure. The preacher didn't seem to feel it. He just kept ranting, his eyes wide and manic. But as he spoke, his jaw seemed to stretch, dropping a little too far with every word. The creature's head hung over his shoulder, those spinning, black hole eyes fixed entirely on me. It didn't smile. It just stared, its gaze so intense it felt like a physical weight on my chest. It was studying me, waiting. The preacher's words were just a meaningless drone now. The lights in my house began their slow, rhythmic pulse. The longer I watched, the more I realized the camera wasn't just close. The scene was pushing forward. The pulpit seemed to be bulging against the confines of the screen, the edges of the TV frame starting to shimmer like a heat haze. The thing behind the preacher slowly, deliberately, lifted one of its hands from his shoulder. It raised a single, impossibly long finger and pressed the tip against the inside of the screen. From my couch, I saw the image distort around its fingertip, like a stone dropped in water. And I heard a sound. A low, deep groan, like stressed glass. It wasn't coming from the speakers. It was coming from the television set itself.